Levant here. You can see behind me about 100 plus people. It was slightly larger earlier, who are outside the court here in Lethbridge to hear a sort of victory speech from Pastor Artur Pawlowski. It's his wife speaking right now. We just got out of the court where, starting at 9:30 a.m. today, both the prosecutor and the defense lawyers made their final submissions as to Artur Pawlowski's sentence. Just to recap, he was already convicted of 2 criminal offenses a few months ago relating to his sermon that he gave to the trucker convoy at the Coutts border blockade last February. So it was let me just give you a little bit of a taste of that sermon so you can see it was just sort of classic Artur Pawlowski talking about freedom. Here's a clip of it.
It's about time for Canadians to rise up and start roaring.
Let's go! Let's go!
I'm talking about peaceful resolution. I'm not talking about guns and swords. You see, this image right here, it was the most powerful thing I could ever do. And it went viral all over the world because it showed simply me on my knees in the middle of the highway being taken by SWAT team. Why? For inciting people to come to church, participating in illegal church gathering, and officiating a church service. Who do those people think they are?
In fact, that video clip was the sole piece of evidence in the hearing. I was shocked by, as many were, that he was convicted of a crime for giving that sermon. My own view is if what he said in that sermon is a crime, simply for inciting the blockade by saying things like hold the line and don't give in and fight for freedom, well, then all of us are in jeopardy, especially those of us in the punditing business, like myself or, say, Rex Murphy. If you can't say to peaceful protesters, hold the line, keep up the fight, if that in itself is a crime, well, I'm not sure if we're in Canada or for Iran or China. Anyways, the hearing, which I live tweeted, I just stepped out. It went back and forth, but in the end, here's how the judge decided in the end. The judge said that Artur needed a sentence, a prison sentence, to steer him straight. But he also took into account the fact that Artur has done a long time in jail pre-trial. And of course, you get extra credit, so to speak, for time served before a trial. So Artur Pawlowski was sentenced to 60 days in prison, but given credit for 60 days already served. So as you can see, he walked straight out. I met with him earlier today, and he said he was worried he would be leaving this courthouse in handcuffs straight to jail, which is how they do it when you're sentenced. So there's a bit of a jubilant feeling here today by his supporters, because he won't serve one extra day in jail, he won't pay $1 extra or have any more punishments. However, he still has that criminal conviction on his record. And so Sarah Miller and the law firm that is being crowdfunded by viewers will be appealing that conviction. And I'm actually optimistic. It's good that Arthur's not sentenced to any more jail time. But it's atrocious that sermon has been called a criminal act. And for that reason, and the important free speech precedent it sets, we will be helping to crowdfund his appeal to the Court of Appeal. And I have reason to be optimistic in that you might recall that Artur Pawlowski received another odious sentence at the hands of a judge named Adam Germain. That was because Artur kept his church open, and he ordered Artur to renounce his views on the vaccine and things like that. It was an atrocious trial-level ruling and sentence. But when that was appealed to the Court of Appeal, Artur won 3-0. It was a great vindication. I have high hopes that this will see the same fate at the Alberta Court of Appeal. By the way, here's some excerpts from Arthur's speech a little bit earlier in the day. Take a look.
Martin Luther King Jr., a leader of the greatest examples of civil rights movement recorded in history, speaks again from the past, warning this society. A man dies when he refuses to stand up for that which is right.
A man dies when he refuses to stand up for justice. A man dies when he refuses to take a stand for that which is true. Edward Armour said, "We cannot defend freedom abroad by deserting it at home." I find it fascinating that every year, every propaganda news network will say, lest we forget, and yet at the same time, they are part of this greatest attack on our freedoms ever recorded in the history of mankind. We must engage.
Amen.
We must speak up.
Amen.
We are Christians. We are Canadians.
Amen.
Are you dead to the cry of the victims?
No.
Are you dead to the pleas of injustice? Are you dead to the abuse of power and the screams of truth? I hope not. Abraham Lincoln said, "Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves." And I absolutely adore the words of our Prime Minister from a few years ago, John Diefenbaker. This is what he said in the House of Commons on the 1st of July in 1960. "I am Canadian, a free Canadian, free to speak without fear, free to worship God in my own way, free to stand for what I think is right, free to oppose what I believe wrong, free to choose those who govern my country." Listen, my friends. Listen, Canadians. We must oppose the evil in the land,
Amen.
and we must stand up in a political realm
Amen.
to elect those that actually value our rights, not those that keep depriving us from those rights. Free to choose those who govern my country. Even that is under attack. This heritage of freedom I pledge to uphold for myself and all mankind. Imagine a prime minister like this. Imagine a man that actually believes in what this country was built upon. We have hostile so-called representatives in every level of government, starting with municipal and ending with the Nazi party in Parliament in Ottawa. I am about to be sentenced today. All this year and a half of my house arrest, they tried to bribe me. I was offered money, political position, job. I was told that if I cross the floor, I will receive a guaranteed seat as an MLA. They would put me where historically the UCP wins.
30 shekels.
Only shut your mouth. Only don't talk about the corruption. Don't expose corrupted politicians. For the past 2 months, they used coercion, blackmail. I was told that the judge is bought and paid for, and that he already was ordered to lock me up. I don't know if I am to believe that or not. It's just some phone calls that I received, multiple. But no matter what happens, they've done everything in their power to force me to say that I am sorry. But here I am again, in front of my oppressors, telling you and them I am not sorry. I was told to apologize. They should be apologizing to the Canadians. For turning the justice system, for weaponizing the justice system against its own people. For making a mockery out of the political system that's supposed to serve the people, not abuse the people and enslave the people. I stood with the hurting Canadians, and if I could, I would do it 10 times over. We have never seen a bigger abuse of power than in the past 3 years, and the people needed their pastor. If a pastor cannot be with the hurting people, there goes every single right out of your country. And historically speaking, freedom of religion is always the first one. When the freedom of religion goes, every other right follows. That's not Pastor Artur Pawlowski preaching, that's history.
Well, that's my report from on the ground here in Lethbridge, Alberta. I'll actually be in Calgary tomorrow, where I myself am on trial. I'll tell you more about that another time. That's it from Lethbridge.